I did my presentation on assimilation versus the integration of immigrants. And so I kind of took a unique take on it. So one of the main articles, what they were trying to find in an article by Goravani, Multiculturalism versus Assimilation, says should immigrants preserve the traditions and culture while living in the host country, known as integration or multiculturalism, or should they assimilate themselves into the ways and manners of their hosts? So for my presentation, I wasn't trying to find out which is better, assimilation or integration, but do immigrants actually assimilate or do they only integrate into their country? So, as some of you probably know, assimilation is adopting the ways of another culture and becoming fully part of that society. And usually it kind of involves giving up some of their own unique cultural identity, whereas integration is only incorporating individuals from different groups into a society, but they kind of maintain their unique identity and don't really fully become part of that community, arguably. So I'm arguing that immigrants only integrate into the society, they don't fully assimilate. And so in one of the articles by Mariah Alexandska, Conclusion, Cultural Integration of Immigrants in Europe, they did a few studies and they found out that Native immigrants only integrate and maintain unique cultural identity and practices, and they measured this through comparing native-born immigrants to first generation and second generation immigrants to find out marriage rates, religiosity, if they kept their religion, education, how far they went in education, and the jobs they had. And they found out that native-born immigrants only truly really integrate into the society, and it's only after time that they would potentially assimilate. But arguably, when they first enter a country, it's only integration. And so, one of the articles kind of looked at integration models within Europe. What I was looking at was primarily integration in Europe and not the United States. And so in Britain, this article is from 2017, found out that Britain had legal recognition to specific minority groups. In France, they had more of a kind of conservative idea. There's a loss of many characteristics associated with the absorbed group. They were simply referred to as French citizens compared to like French Arab citizens. In Germany, immigrants were treated as guest workers and denied citizenship. And in the Netherlands, they kind of had a pillarization. There was separate education, separate trade unions, and separate media for Catholics and Protestants and later immigrants. So kind of going against my view, which Mike will look at, is he's going to argue that immigrants do assimilate when they first enter a country. And so one of the articles we read was about Muslims and is the U.S. better at assimilating immigrants by Megan Opera. And she saw that Muslims were better at assimilating, well, specifically in the United States, which I thought was interesting that it wasn't in Europe. That they also retain religious and cultural beliefs. Their opinions changed toward the LGBTQ community and their own patriotic sentiment on if they believed that they were truly Muslim and American. And traditionally in Muslim communities, they're very hateful towards the LGBTQ community and hold very strong views about that. So the author argued that any evidence that this view has changed would be a sign of assimilation to liberal social norms. So that would be like the counter argument. No, they did assimilate when they first came in. However, this was over the course of 10 years. So it's kind of hard to say that they really assimilated when they first got there, because again, it's been a decade. If they would have been there, their views would have changed. So descendants in countries tend to assimilate over a longer frame of time, and arguably when immigrants first come to a country, they would only truly really integrate. So these were kind of some political cartoons that critiqued integration and false assimilation. You can kind of see the ideas, and I agree for yourself. The problem with illegals, they don't be Americans, they don't know proper English, it's wrong for them to know. They don't look like us, he looks like a meathead, like a Nazi. And they don't study our dead white dudes like Abraham Clinton. And then you see the other one, we're very tolerant society, but if you don't behave like us, you can go back to where you bloody came from. And he's talking to arguably Islamists. So again, it's just political cartoons kind of critiquing it. So one of the articles that kind of took a different side of what I was looking at in terms of immigration and assimilation integration was they were trying to find out were there any national differences in attitudes towards multiculturalism or assimilation, like the populations there that affect how they viewed assimilation or integration. So, for example, if a country's right wing or left wing, does that affect how they would view immigration and believing if when immigrants enter into their country if they should assimilate or integrate? So it's very interesting. They kind of had like vague results though, and did a few studies, but never really came to any definite conclusions. So, like moving forward, arguably, what the article said, according to my argument, is that when immigrants come into a country, they only integrate, they don't fully assimilate, only after a course of a decade, as we saw with Muslims, or even longer. And usually there's descendants that tend to fully become enriched in the country, and the native-born immigrants only truly become involved, but not fully. So here are some of the critiques that they had with their own articles. For the research may be enriched by stepping away from the use of an average native-born as a benchmark for immigrants and encompass a more regional or ethnical perspective.